Sports Talk Live is on the air. It's time for episode 7. Let's go.
Yo! Saddle up! Lock and load!
Sports Talk Live with Josh and Dan on the Notre Dame Media Crew YouTube channel.
What's up, Dan? How you doing?
Hey,
Hold on, I'm getting my camera set.
I am
See if
too.
I can.
Do you appreciate this?
I do. I actually do. I'm proud of you for that.
I had to find a long sleeve shirt today this morning. I woke up and I was cold and I'm like, I can't wear a sweatshirt today. I have to wear something long sleeve. So
Fighting Irish.
This is
Go
what
Irish.
it's like the only long sleeve stuff I have. That's like not a sweatshirt, but it works.
Yes, it
because
does.
Because I'm supporting the local product.
Yeah, because Alabama, that's not local, man. You're better than that. Come on.
You gotta be kidding me. You're coming at me for that.
I'm gonna do that.
Oh my god.
You ready?
All right, let's do this.
Okay, so first, I gotta talk Last Dance. That was it. It keeps getting better every episode. Keeps getting better every week.
That was good.
It was. I mean, we can agree it mainly focused on Bad Boy Pistons for sure and Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, episode 4. They did a really good job, especially highlighting in on Dennis Rodman there.
Mm-hmm.
What I really picked up on with Rodman, and they zoomed in. I remember this one scene from episode 3 where he took some time to go over
Vegas,
where he went over to some people standing outside the tunnel, signed stuff for them, gave the kids shoes. I thought that was really cool for him because it really showed off a piece of his personality. Like, that's not how he is on the court, because when he was out on the court, he's this crazy defenseman that's just all up in your face. And it's not really something that the NBA had really seen before, that style of play that Dennis Rodman brought. So I thought that, like, we kind of saw, like, a split personality out of Dennis Rodman there in that episode. But ESPN nailed that episode altogether.
For sure. I think I know when we talked about we had one of our topics on one of our first 2 shows where we discussed what teams really brought out the best of the 90s Bulls and pushed Jordan and Pippen to be their best. And I know you said Magic and the Lakers and Larry and the Celtics, but I think this just backs up I said Bad Boy Pistons, and that episode for sure just backs it up.
Yes.
Because you look at 2 years of with the Bulls when Jordan got there, they were messed up, and we talked about that last week. And then they finally started to get their identity, even after getting swept by the Celtics in the 85-86 season and 86-87 season. But once 87-88 season hit and the 89-90 season hit, lost to what was it? They got swept by the Pistons, and then they lost in 7, and then they beat them. And they swept them. So it went sweep for the Pistons, win in 7 for the Pistons.
It was a sweep?
The Bulls sweep them, yeah. Because
they
walked
the
off.
In
the 91 series.
The 88-89 was
that was Pistons.
That was a Pistons sweep?
Yep, Pistons swept.
Why can't I remember that they swept it?
I don't know. But they
I want to find out now, because that's going to bug me.
I know they won in 7 in 90. That I know for sure.
Yes, I remember that one.
Let's see. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a sweep.
I shall find out now, because that's going to annoy me.
But yeah, you talk about, for Michael and the Bulls to consecutively gets, taken out by the Celtics, and then the Pistons 2 years in a row.
It was in 6. The Bulls won game 1. Bulls won game 1 and game 3. Pistons won 2, 4, 5, and 6.
I don't know why I said sweep. Someone's either telling me sweep or 6, but I was like, it's got to be sweep.
It's something with an S.
Yeah. And then absolutely just obliterating them in 91, and the Pistons obviously walking off. Now, the Celtics did that, actually, when they lost to the Pistons. But no one criticized the Celtics. Yeah. Obviously, they criticized the Pistons. you can go many ways for that. We won't get into that. But for sure, they were pretty, pissed that it was over. And Michael Jordan said that was a team that was not, how like you have like decades of solid winners and stuff. He's like, that team was just never meant to win. Like they won dirty. They didn't earn it. If anything, I do agree they earned it. The Pistons earned it. It's a lot harder to play, go up, shoot shots, make passes, get rebounds. They did everything to the next level. And the level after that, they excelled at what they did. And they played aggressive. And teams aren't always going to come out ready to play against that. So it worked for them. But finally, they had the Jordan rules. Jordan rules were if he was at the top of the key, force him left. If he either wings, force him to the elbows, don't let him go baseline. And if he hits the paint, knock him down. Those were the Jordan rules. And it was there was another. I think if he posts up, if he tries to post, you double team. And then the fourth was if he gets to the paint and he's going up, knock him down. It was dirty, but obviously it worked. And refs were not like they are today. That's for sure.
No.
Kind of. Danny didn't. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, probably.
But anyway, I found it most surprising that still, especially Jordan and even I think Isaiah Thomas said this, but they're still holding grudges against each other to this day. Jordan's still upset about the Pistons walking off, and I can't remember the name of the ringleader behind it, but he still supports that decision.
Lambeer.
Yeah,
Lambeer.
But I still find that really interesting that they still have that against each other even now.
Yeah, I think the thing with it, Dan, is that first of all, we got to understand that first of all, they both respect each other greatly. They do. They both have said it. They respect them as, people and players. But Jordan is not letting go of what happened back then.
Yeah.
And here's the argument you can make. I'm going to make an argument in favor of Michael Jordan.
Good.
In his case, it's not fun and then really have a chance in 90 and lose in 7. Now, if you notice, they still shook hands. They still got respect for each other. Within those 48 minutes, within the lines, they will beat each other up. But once the 48 minutes is up, they're people. They're just people. Oops, I gotta fix that. They're just people. They're just people. They, shake on, get on with their stuff, and you move on. And the Bulls were with that. And the Bulls, they went right back to practice right away. But when Isaiah and them did it, I think what hurt Jordan the most was, hey, we got absolutely, not obliterated, but we fought. We gave it everything we had, and we still came up short 2 years in a row, total of 13 games, and we still shook hands with you at the end of the 13th game where we lost. That's not easy to do. It really isn't. And for him to get mad at Isaiah about it, I can understand that. Because Isaiah, first of all, they're coming off of 2 titles, okay, 89-90. They're coming off of that. And Jordan, in the meantime, is getting all this crap because he hasn't won a title. Matt, he wants to be considered, at the time, he wants to be considered in the conversation of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. And here's this guy, Isaiah Thomas, walking and winning 2 titles, and he's already ahead of Jordan in that aspect. So in that case, you can understand why Jordan's upset that he didn't, shake hands with him, because we all knew once they won that series against the Pistons and went to the finals that they were just going to be on a roll for that decade. So that's my take on it for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that totally. But I still especially those upcoming years, the first 2 finals against the Pistons, even towards the last couple of games in the 89-90 series, you could tell that there was a little bit of shifting of the momentum between the 2. It wasn't something that was extremely noticeable, but you could tell just by the way that they played, and more so for the Bulls, the way they played under the pressure, But you knew going into the 90-91 that the Bulls had the upper hand, just with the season that they had.
Oh yeah.
It's
They,
and then clearly after the first two games in Chicago, you could tell that these are not the same Pistons that we have seen for the last couple of seasons. This is a very different team going up against a team that is a handful, and they are not going to be able to contain them.
For sure. I think another thing, just with the Bulls in general, losing to Magic and James Worthy in that first NBA Finals game, it was almost like a no-looking-back mentality. You kind of put that aside and you just pound through, and they pounded through the decade. So obviously the main guy in this series last night, it was Dennis Rodman. I think we all knew Dennis Rodman was a character, but I don't think we knew he could be such a character and then come back, turn on the switch, and absolutely just kill it on the court. Yeah, he told Phil Jackson, he's like, I need a break. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, I need a break. And then he told Jordan, and they agreed, hey, 48 hours, Vegas. Well, 48 came around, he didn't come back. 50 came around, he didn't come back. 60 came around, he didn't come back. So Jordan goes to the hotel room where he's with Madonna. And it's morning, so nobody's dressed. And Jordan pounds on the door, and she knew it was Madonna. And he comes in, grabs him by the nose ring, gets him out of there, and they go to practice. And at practice, Phil Jackson, he goes, okay, we're going to run laps until Dennis beats you guys in the front. You're done running. Well, the thing was, Dennis Rodman was beating them on the laps. He was running around like crazy. They couldn't catch him. I forgot how many laps it took for someone.
It was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, until Steve Kerr and the guys in the front caught him. And that just proved, hey, he has this on-off switch that is unlike anybody's that we have ever seen. So credit to him. I don't know how many guys, because they were expecting him to be out of shape, not be able to make shots. His aggressiveness wouldn't be as good. And this guy comes out and he has a great practice. So with Dennis Rodman, it's a very much work hard, play hard environment. And when we say work hard, play hard, we mean work hard and play hard environment for sure.
Yeah, I think it was interesting, too, to kind of get into a little bit of that personal life for Dennis Rodman. Because you really didn't see that in the first couple of episodes. And it's not really something that you expect, like, the mainstream media to get into. But I think, like, with that specific area of, like, I need a break, Dennis Rodman saying to Phil Jackson goes to Vegas. But I find it more interesting that the Bulls as an organization were willing to do this. There was an interview earlier I heard. Joe Madden was on the Score earlier today. They compared Joe Madden to Phil Jackson because Joe and Phil share very same characteristics. Like you could tell that there's a little bit of discrepancy with Phil Jackson. Like, why do you want to do this? You're an NBA player. Grow up, man. But they let him go because they feel like that they have to let him be his own animal, which, and it proved itself. Yeah. It proved itself in that practice, they draw comps to that, to like Javier Baez. If someone just tried to coach him and try and like water him down to be like this little coach's pet, he wouldn't have been the same player that he would have been.
No, with certain players, if you don't use them right, or if you don't use them like in their areas of strength, they aren't going to succeed. We see that in a lot of sports. But with Dennis Rodman, teams just didn't know how to use him the right way. They just kept working him. They didn't really want to, even learn from him in a certain aspect. But with the Bulls, Phil Jackson really wanted to get to know him. He would talk down with the guy. They'd have some time together. And they felt that by bringing him in, he could learn from Michael and Scotty, which he did, and all three worked together, and they understood him. No one understood him. That's why he wasn't the best of himself. And if you give Dennis what he wants, he'll give you 110% of what you want. That's just how it works. So they used Dennis Rodman in the perfect way. And, that's my take on it. I thought we got an insight of him. He wasn't like how he was in high school and stuff. He wasn't like that. I don't think I think they said that he wasn't even like that in college. But then he just, once he got to the Pistons and certain coaches wanted him to do certain things, and I said Thomas Lambier, they all had an impact on him. They started having him like change the way he plays, like get aggressive and start, pushing guys, being mean, assertive, that kind of thing. And it was good. But the Bulls brought out the best of that kind of Dennis Rodman for sure. Do we dye our hair the way he did? Because we got quarantined. I'm not doing it. I'm not really doing anything the next month. So maybe whip out a Dennis Rodman hairstyle. I don't know.
I want to see you put the poison spots on your head.
Which ones were those?
Like the 3 dots, like here, here, and here.
Oh, the thing he did when Scottie Pippen came back and he had the threes and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I'm thinking more like the one where he had like the black and then he had like the neon green like all over it kind of. That's a good one. I do that. For sure.
He's got a great personality, even as
he does. He's North Korea's diplomat. That's how it works. May not need him anymore, but that's how it works.
Nice.
So yeah, obviously The Last Dance, it's nothing we expected in terms it just keeps getting better and better. And every episode to every Sunday, it's exceeding from what the last episode was. 1 was great, 2 was greater, 3 was the greater of the greater. It's getting more interesting. We're finally getting an insight of what made these 90s Bulls so good and why it came to a sudden end. Everyone knew, hey, they won 6 titles. They were good. Michael, Scottie, Dennis, Phil. That's how it worked. That's just how people thought of it, for a while. But now that we're getting an insight to it, it's so cool to see what made them what they were and how those players came to be. That is the amazing thing about this document, that it is bringing out that information that not only NBA fans, but Chicago Bulls fans, and I'm not talking your Bulls fan that has started beating fans like 5 years ago. I'm talking like Bulls fans from the 80s and 90s. This is what they've wanted to see, and it's really exciting to see it all being put together.
Amen to that.
Amen. Amen.
Amen to that. I was going to say something, but I forgot what I was going to say.
Amen to that.
If I remember, I'll think of it.
While you think of that, I'll get the next thing ready, just in case.
Okay. I guess I can come up with something else for that. But I'm thinking about this, just like how all of it progressed.
Mm-hmm.
What all of this has been about. Like, we all thought about this coming into it, that it would just be about the 97, 98 Bulls.
Yeah.
But, like, this is the whole thing. And even, like, the backstories. I love the backstories that they have done with these guys. Like, throw all the way back to, like, the 1970s, like with the Dennis Rodman one. That one was just, I did not anticipate that coming into this.
Yeah.
And then, like, the shot with Jordan ratting out one of the players. I can't remember which one that was. Saying, like, Mom, he's an alcoholic. Whatever that one was. I can't. On the plane or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Like, they were drinking.
Plane.
He's on camera, and he's like,
he's like, don't say that. My mom was going to see it.
Well, his mom's probably seeing it now.
Yeah. But,
for sure.
And then I think, like, and then we kind of saw it in episode 4, like, the team bonding that we saw early on before things just started to, plummet downhill. Jerry Krause dancing on the plane. Like, that's not something you probably would have seen in the latter part of the dynasty. Like, that early part of the dynasty was a very interesting time for the people involved in it. And I think, like, especially episode 4 really highlighted that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I thought it was great. I thought it was really cool to see how Phil Jackson used, like, some Native American stuff to really, like, just, bring out the best in his players, really get Zen Buddhism and stuff, really just to get to the core of yourself, and just relax, bring it all together, bring out the best of yourself. Really awesome stuff to see. Also with that, I thought Phil Jackson's background was really cool. I didn't know he won titles for the Knicks. Now, we could also say that Phil Jackson is someone, now that we know, because I actually didn't know it, Phil Jackson is someone who brought the Knicks to their peak of their no, definitely not dynasty, of their franchise. The Knicks have nothing. I'm sorry. They have those 2 titles and Carmelo. That is it. I'm sorry. That is it. So we get to see Phil Jackson come in and bring them to those 2 titles. And then the Knicks just keep going down and down and down. And they're down here. This is where the titles are. They're down here. And Phil Jackson becomes their GM. And it keeps going down. Bless the man. I love Phil Jackson. A great player for sure, to get the Knicks their first 2 titles. Best coach of all time. And I think anyone can agree with that.
Undoubtedly.
11 titles coaching, if I'm correct. 6 with Bulls, 5 Lakers, plus 2 with the play. That's 13. He's had 13 titles between playing and coaching, 11 from coaching. But as a GM, oh my goodness. I'm going to read you Phil Jackson's picks at the NBA draft since he's been GM. First of all, Kristaps Porzingis. That's not it's not bad. It did playing really good. When you're 7'3" and you're doing that, you're talented. But I'm about to read some of the picks that he has made since, or just in his time there. Here it is. I'm on dailyknicks.com. Knicks fans got to have something to do because they got nothing to get excited about. Ranking Phil Jackson's draft pick selections. Number 8, Agjen Jamaraz. The last pick of Jackson's tenure. He went 58th overall in 2017. He remains overseas, having yet to play North America. It is unknown if he will ever play for the Knicks. 5th, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, brother of Giannis, the Greek freak. He was 51st pick in 2014. He had a similar size to his talented brother, but never found an opportunity to impact the Knicks, playing just 2 professional games before going overseas. Nice.
Wow.
Clay Anthony Early arrived as a draft pick involved with the 2014 Tyson Chandler trade. Yeah, let's bring this up too. He trades Tyson Chandler like he's dominoes. I'm not even kidding. He brings in Jose Calderon. What does Jose Calderon bring to basketball? I am sorry. You do that, you get rid of Carmelo, you trade Kristaps, you get rid of J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert. Like they're nothing. And Jose Calderon's going to be the point guard to answer all your problems. Yeah, sure, okay? And I'm a Bulls fan, and I'm getting angry about this because it is a disgrace to his legacy to have done these things. He is the best coach of all time, one of the greatest players to play the game. But come on, Danny Berg, you got to be kidding me.
He's not a GM.
No, and this guy, Clay Anthony Early, while a good spot to find low-key value, Early just played 56 games in 2 seasons, averaging 4.3 points on 34% shooting. He was out of the NBA after 15-16. This dude didn't last 2 years. I got to find the next. And notice these are his best picks. 3rd, from France, Frank Ntilikina became Phil Jackson's final first-round pick, to much discussion at the time. Given debate between the point guard prospects, between him and Dennis Smith Jr., the attention was latter, who American basketball fans saw throughout the 16-17 season. The Frenchman was seen as a better triangle fit. 2 years later, neither player has taken off. Both are with the Knicks after Smith arrived via trade with the Dallas Mavericks, who acquired Kristaps Porzingis and 3 others. He is discarded most of his 18-19 season. Numbers fell for the 20-year-old in his second season. Few signs of progress, but injuries and stuff is not helping him. Number 2, 2017, Damian Dotson. He was 44th overall. Consistent role he struggled with. He played 44 games, averaging about 10 or 11 minutes. He had 13 appearances in the G League. Whether Dodson has a 3rd year in New York remains unknown. His contract is unguaranteed. This guy is averaging 10 points, shooting 36%, 41% overall, or 36% on threes. And then his number 1 pick, Kristaps. The only thing he ever did right was pick Kristaps, and he traded him away. If anything, that's the guy to build around. So Phil Jackson, I say, I love the man. I really do. One of the best coach of all time. This is probably the 5th time I've said it tonight. Best coach of all time, an amazing NBA player, but one of the worst general managers I have ever seen next to Garpax.
And Bill O'Brien.
Touche. Well, now that that's over, we can we can jump in to the NFL. So I saw a source. I got a notification when I woke up a few days ago, and I couldn't remember where I got it from. Search it up to see if we could find anything. I got it. He brought up Bleacher Report, and it matched up to what I was talking about. The NFL is considering a new Super Bowl date, canceling Pro Bowl, and postponing the NFL season start to a later date. The latest they'd be looking at for the Super Bowl would be the last day of February, February 28th. That's a Sunday. And Dan, what do you think of this? Right now, with that, I mean, they are looking at 17 weeks of a regular season. They will stick with their 17-game proceedings, playoff formation. That's all going to stay the same. They're just going to push it all back. If the Super Bowl is February 28th, let's see how many weeks that's pushing back. That is pushing.
I think it's only 3.
February 20th. So 1, 2, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yep.
That means AFC, NFC title games would be the 14th. Even though we assume they take the Pro Bowl away, you still need 2 weeks for practice. 7th is division.
Go ahead, keep going.
Okay. The 7th would be divisional round. 31st of January is wild card. The season ends on the 24th of January. So you're talking probably a start date of September 27th or October 4th. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah, a little more. I mean, kind of getting off of that, I think, kind of refuting what you're saying, if they decide to cancel the Pro Bowl altogether, they're not going to have a week where they're not having anything in the midst of playoff football. They're going to go right from the championship games to the Super Bowl. Now, you might not have the pomp and circumstances you have a Super Bowl week because you got to get out of the city that you're playing in and down to Tampa, which doesn't really have a lot of pomp and circumstance to begin with. But, this is the contingency plan if stuff does not go into place. I don't know what they're doing about preseason. In my opinion, you can play the preseason games, but just do it at the training facility. You have the outdoor facilities, just do it there. It doesn't really – you can play the preseason games in empty stadiums. It's not like people are really going to see that. Anyway, they want to see the regular season games because that's where the interesting things actually happen. It's all the competitions in terms of the preseason. And really the only preseason game that actually draws, big crowds to is the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, that's
and
it,
even
pretty
that,
much.
And even that you can push back or even make it a regular season game if you wanted to. Make it a neutral game if that's something you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But ideally, they don't want to do this. And here's what I'm thinking about this. If you can get fans into baseball stadiums by late August,
they're also talking
September,
about late June. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you can get the fans back in the stadiums by August or September in certain areas.
Yeah.
Now, I know not all areas are going to, allow that, but, Atlanta's going to do it. Atlanta and Georgia they're going to do it in June anyway. But, the last thing you want to do is have to push the NFL season back because that's the biggest moneymaker of all the sports. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
it is the biggest moneymaker.
You play
CBS,
one time
Fox,
a week?
NFL and ESPN, for the NFL Network, ESPN, NBC, etc.
Yeah, CBS, all they really get, obviously, is NFL, and they get college basketball, especially the tournament. NBC, you get hockey, but that doesn't draw as much revenue as football does. And Fox, I mean, it's pick your poison with listening to Joe Buck. You either get 110% of listening to Joe Buck if you have baseball, but it's probably I don't know, 1 out of 10 chance that you have to listen to him if there's football on Fox. So ideally, football needs that it's the biggest, moneymaker when it comes to TV. So ideally that's the one they want that back as soon as possible. And they don't just want it shortened. They want all 17 games of theirs because it is 17 now. They want all 17. They want all playoffs and they want Super Bowl on TV, and they want it to get going so they can start making money because the TV companies are going to run out of stuff to, put out there. Watch. So yeah, right now, if we push it back, now here's the thing: do they include fans when they push it back? I'm just reading it right now. Do they allow fans back right away if they do this?
Well, I think if you're gonna have football, you need to have fans in the stadium. I know that's a little bit biased. But it's not a football game if you don't have people in the stands. Like you can have you can have empty baseball stadiums and you'd be fine. Like I'm not necessarily worried about that because, like growing up, like you don't really have people watching your games until you maybe get to college, then maybe you have some sort of an audience. But that's about it. Like pretty much from when you start to high school, you don't really have as much of an audience as you would for a football or basketball game. So you need to have that the crowd effect is big for football, in my opinion.
Yep.
And if you can't have the crowd effect, even to a small extent, like even if you keep the stadium to half a capacity, like if you keep AT&T Stadium to like 40,000 people, if you wanted to do that and keep social distance, like if that's something you wanted to do, you could do it, but you have to be able to have some sort of a downturn with case numbers. Like we still haven't seen that in like our state. We still haven't seen that. And I know New York's getting better for instance, but we're still a long ways away. But I think like for the NFL, they need to go ahead with their regular plans, keep that contingency plan in the back of your head, and then if things get worse, then just see where it goes. But you can't really make those kinds of plans about canceling games. Like, sure, you can cancel like OTAs, maybe push back training camps if you wanted. But canceling games is a much bigger deal because there's a lot more involved in that. You gotta wait. You gotta wait that part out.
Yeah, one of the changes it says here in the article, it says 2 weeks of early season games to the end of the season. A third week would feature teams only playing opponents with the same bye week, so that the league could cut and buys could be the week could be cut and buys eliminated league wide. So they really want to get this thing going as possible. These contingency-laden plans also include cutting the weekend between the conference championships and the Super Bowl. Okay, so you are right, where the Pro Bowl is typically played, to allow another week to be lost to delays. Under such a plan, the Pro Bowl will not be played. And the NFL is the only team to really continue with its operations during this whole pandemic. Obviously, the draft. That probably was not easy to do by any means. You have all those guys, all those people you saw on TV. I know you only saw two for each team. You saw the head coach and the GM.
And Bill Belichick's dog.
And sometimes you would see the owner of the team.
Or the dictator, also known as Jerry Jones.
Yes, sir. And that definitely is not easy to do. All those guys should be in the same room, and there are tons of more people that are, in the room together. Right. So probably a lot. Pardon me?
I said, yeah.
Yeah. So
you need to get back into the war rooms.
Oh, man. I wish I was in one of those, just reporting. That'd be fun. So you want to get back to doing your operations as quick as possible. NFL is doing that. Even the NBA, they said there might not be a draft this year, and that would be tough. Because here's the thing. The NFL draft, you can only watch so much of it. You saw our broadcast. I was losing it probably at about pick 15 of the first round.
Yeah.
The NBA,
yeah, you were.
Yeah. NFL's got, 200 picks or something?
255.
255. NBA's got a nice 60. 30 here, 30 there. It's not hard. And, yeah, I mean, I know Adam Silver is questioning doing it. It's a little up in the air for him in the NBA to continue with the draft. But if Roger Goodell could put together what he did for the NFL with 255 picks and 32 different teams, all in different locations, there should be no problem with doing that with the NBA. 30 teams, 60 picks, that's not bad. Not at all.
At least they're not MLB that has to deal with 1,200 plus picks.
Oh my gosh.
Just not the Astros.
Yeah. I can't
Anyways.
Same with NHL, yeah. And then the thing is, even if you have a high draft pick, you won't see the dude for 6 years. So.
Anyways.
So yeah, that was a good talk. Let me know if we're hitting our limit. So
We're getting close.
Blackhawks fans, it's sad to say, especially
Interesting.
because the guy went to Dan and I's high school, or I should say Dan's high school, because senior year is ruined and I will not be returning to school. So this guy went to Dan's high school. Let me put it that way.
You still go to high school. You wouldn't
Yeah,
have
but
to
I don't.
college yet. No, you got to do the senior
Basically,
prank. You got to go to do the senior prank. Come on the first day of school next year.
that'd be pretty funny.
That's the new senior prank.
Is that what people are saying?
That's what a lot of people have been saying lately.
My
Like
gosh. I
go
would
to-
do that because I wouldn't leave for college probably till a week later. That would be funny. I would do that. I would do that. Yeah, so back to the Blackhawks. John McDonough has been fired and relieved of his duties. John McDonough has been with the Blackhawks from 2007 to 2020, and previously he was the president, just like he was for the Blackhawks, for the Chicago Cubs until Theo came in. I know we've talked about the Hawks trying to rebuild what they have had, but does this move right here signify, hey, it's starting to come to an end, and we need to think of a quick change fast just to try and at least win one title before the big boys retire? So, Dan, what do you think this move is saying about the Blackhawks?
This is a move for the future. But quite honestly, I think that with what McDonough has done in his career, he should have been able to retire on his own terms. I think the language used by the Blackhawks was a little bit deceiving because it said he's been released of his duties.
Should be relieved.
Yeah, relieved. So when I read that and I heard it, because I read it and I heard it, I'm like, tisk, tisk, tisk. He should have been able to leave on his own terms with what he's done for the Blackhawks. Like with what he built with that dynasty, he should have been able to say, I'm ready to call it. Ready to call it quits. Bring someone else in here. Let them continue my legacy, if you wanted to put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But releasing him of his powers, no.
They did it kind of harshly, for sure.
Yes, and very unexpectedly too. Like no one saw this coming.
Oh.
Like there was no speculation at all.
If anything, I was expecting Stan Bowman to go.
Yes,
that's what I was going to expect.
It should have been Bowman first.
Yeah, then Colleton, then. I mean, even if you need to fire John McDonough, it's a tough move, obviously, for the Hawks, but definitely kind of like a Joe Madden situation. You can't hate the guy. He brought Kane and Tays in the world, and he can take him out. No, but he did bring him in. He's the reason that they're here. He came in 2007. First guy drafted was Tays, I believe, and he stick with his guts. He went with Kane and Tays. Yeah, signed Hossa, Keith, and Seabrook, and Crawford, Niemi. We could go down the line to the players that helped build this team to what it was and somewhat is. But no question, McDonough did a lot for this team, for sure. He, Bowman, and Rocky Wirtz, and Joel Quenneville, too. They made this probably the NHL team of the decade, for sure. But I don't think anyone can deny that. So it's tough to see him go, but the Hawks need to start thinking for the future. And like I said, with hockey players especially, you don't have long with them. Kane and Tays, I think they're 31-32. So they're getting up there. And you kind of have to wonder what they're going to do with this move. Are they going to bring in someone that this would be their first time being a president of operations? Or is someone else going to get fired and maybe from a good team they're going to bring them in? What do you think they're going to do?
I think they're definitely going to bring someone in that has some sort of experience with that upper management. Because you don't want to bring in someone blind to this with kind of the demise that the Blackhawks have been going through these last couple of years since they started going down. You don't want to you can bring someone in that's a little bit inexperienced and let them learn on the job, but you also want to be able to have those guys that have that experience. And if you want to go with someone experienced, then by all means bring in someone that's experienced. But if you want to promote someone then sure, do that too. The Blackhawks I know this is a bad term to use, but they're free. They can pick their path and where they want to go. And they're not a team at the top either. They're a team at the bottom, which means they can choose their path as to where they want to go.
Yes.
It's not like the Penguins that just let their president go, and you have to find someone to bring in and have them be able to continue winning. If just use that as an example. No, this is not the Penguins. Blackhawks.
Yeah.
This is a very different situation.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever comes in is going to be able to pave the path to try and get the Blackhawks back up.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. You can bring in someone inexperienced if you want. They'll be able to learn on the job. They can make the mistakes, but they're ultimately the ones that will get it right.
For sure. And while we're on the subject of the Blackhawks, obviously we can agree the East is the superior conference in hockey. If we just read off the teams, it's pretty apparent that the East owns it. You got teams, Washington, obviously, with Alex Ovechkin, who may break Wayne Gretzky's record. Obviously, if he returns to hockey next year, which is assumed. Boston, Tampa, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Philly, Columbus, Carolina, the two New York teams, historic Montreal, Detroit. The East kind of owns hockey, let's be honest here. The West is a lot of the newer teams, more or less. San Jose, LA, let's see what else we got here. Nashville, Winnipeg, Vegas. So right now the Hawks, in terms of wild card standings, they are 6th in the race when it comes to the top wild card spot. That is where they are. The Hawks, very up and down this year, 100%. For wild card, they ranged, I'm not even kidding, they ranged from being in 8th place for wild card all the way to number 1 for wild card, one spot away, because you know how hockey playoffs work. They take top 3 from each division. They seed them by points, and then there's 2 wild card teams. Worst of wild card team plays the best division winner. The best of the wild card teams plays the second best division winner. And the Hawks were getting ready to break that 3rd seed for the Central and not have to play a number 1 seed. They would probably more or less play Dallas or Colorado, and they wouldn't Louis or Vegas. And there would be spurts of the Hawks this season where they would win about, maybe they had 8 games, Dan, and they went 7-0-1 in those games, or 6-1-1, or 8-0-0. They would go on some tears. They would look like the Hawks of old. I saw Corey Crawford play this year, and he looked like Corey Crawford of old when I was at that game. So the issue with them right now, I mean, we can agree, the Kings had a little bit of a dynasty going around the second Hawks title, a little bit of a dynasty. They're tanking. They're going down. San Jose, they are not San Jose from 3 years ago with Martin Jones stopping all the goals coming from the Pittsburgh guys, and Evander Kane, Patrick Marleau, Logan Couture, Brett Burns, all those. It's not what it used to be. Anaheim, not the Ducks that we saw in that Western Conference series. That is for sure. They are not the same team. Obviously, for the Central, your big teams on the rise. St. Louis for sure. Obviously, Jordan Binnington, their goalie, unbelievable. He's a stud for sure. Colorado. The issue with Colorado is they are always in a race to win a division, but they can never. They're like the Clippers. They always have these great players that can get them to high levels, but they can never take it to the next level. Dallas is always in there with Winnipeg, and then Nashville. Nashville's an amazing team. The environment down there, I've been to Nashville, spent time around the arena during hockey season, and it is electrifying. That is for sure. There's a lot of buzz down there. They're very pleased with their hockey team. So in the Central, there's a lot going around. The Hawks are last in the Central right now, just behind Minnesota. You know when you're behind Minnesota in hockey, and it may be weird to say it, when you're behind the Wild, you're not doing too hot, that's for sure. So the issue with them, it's teams, something they all have in common is, yeah, they have their few vets that provide leadership, and carry skill, but they got young guys. That is what they have. St. Louis is building guys from the draft. Same with Dallas. Dallas is bringing in guys. I know Dallas brought in Ben Bishop to play goalie. Not a bad goalie by any means. Colorado always has talent. Nashville, they brought in some big names when they got Shea Weber and PK Subban, two guys that used to play defense together, and then they ended up, they got Shea Weber for, 2014-ish?
I think.
Maybe 2013. They've had Shea Weber for a while, and PK Subban came a few years after that. I think Subban was part of the team that swept the Hawks. Actually, he might have come the year after that. But anyways, the one thing that lacks with the Hawks is you see them bring in free agents that have helped them win a lot. But they aren't your big name guys. They aren't like bringing in a PK Subban or Shea Weber, Alex Ovechkin. That is the issue with having their franchise players. Yes, keep Taves and Kane. They are going to retire as Hawks. Keith and Seabrook, they're going to retire within a few years. Maybe even this year, Maybe next season's going to be Keith's last year. I got a feeling Seabrook's kind of done. Crawford's on his way out. Though somehow he's still the guy for next year. But if you saw our show about a week ago, I lost my voice because I really got animated about the situation with the Blackhawks. So the issue with them is first they got to get rid of management. And obviously they have started that process with John McDonough. It's kind of sad to see, but you can't really, get on his case as much as you'd like to, because he did bring in Kane and Taves and all those free agents that brought the Hawks to what they were. He took them from a terrible situation and brought them to the best team of the decade for the NHL. So it's
First
tough.
half, at least.
Yeah.
First half?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Accurate.
Maybe 15-16 season, even though they lost in 7 to St. Louis, they still were decent.
Yeah.
So by the Preds, that was oof. Yeah. Getting swept by the Preds, not fun.
No.
So bittersweet,
All right.
obviously, for John McDonough, but when Stan Bowman go, and especially Jeremy Collinson, I will be extra excited.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. It is time to break away. We will
be back in 20 seconds.
In about 20 seconds. We will be right back.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
So last topic short today because we probably killed most of you with the NFL draft. So one of the teams that in Chicago that's just had a bucket load of amazing talent to go all around the field is the Chicago Cubs. Even in their turmoil and within that 108 years between 08 and 16, we saw a lot of great things from them. You look at guys from the 30s, guys especially from the 60s and 70s, late 80s and 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, definitely not late 2000s. And obviously, It really came to its own this past decade, about 2012, 11-ish. So, Dan, obviously, there's a lot of great guys, and we don't like to leave everybody out. But if we had to establish an all Cubs, all-time lineup, first of all, let's start with a pitcher. Who's your you get one pitcher. Who's your opening day? Who's your opening day starter for an all-time Cubs lineup?
Fergie Jenkins.
Oh, dang it, you stole mine.
Okay. Well, you can keep that. You can keep that one.
Okay.
I'll take early Greg Maddux.
I was gonna say Mark Pryor. You could go him too.
Yeah.
I say, okay, make it fair. Let's build a 5. Let's build a starting 5.
Okay.
I say Fergie's
Yeah,
number
fair.
1. Fergie is number 1
That's
all
fair.
day.
Yes.
Maddox 2.
Mark Pryor 3.
3.
Kerry Wood is in there 2.
And I say because John Lester was old when he came to the Cubs and he wasn't exactly his really old self, I say maybe you're talking to Cy Young Jake Arrieta, your fifth starter.
Yeah,
Kind of the young, a newbie for sure. But
Yeah,
he
I
could
was-
definitely mix in with
yeah.
Kerry Wood,
I was
Maddox,
thinking,
Spankers.
I was thinking along the lines of like Milt Pappas or Kenny Holtzen, one of those guys to fill in there too. I mean, you could even go with like the reliever Kerry Wood too when he was a closer. He was just blowing guys away.
Yeah, or you also have guys like Carlos Zambrano. You can't forget about. Ryan Dempster's definitely up there for sure.
Ted
But
Lilly.
I think definitely a great starting five. There you go: Fergie, Maddox, Pryor, Kerry Wood, starter version, and Jake Arrieta. So
Good five.
we hit the ones. Let's hit number 2. Who's your all-time catcher?
I was going to go with either Gabby Hartnett or Jody Davis.
That's not bad, man. Like, wow. You took it to a whole nother level, man. See, you are a very good Cubs expert.
Yes, I am.
I say definitely if you're looking at like a top 5 catcher, obviously, Wilson Contreras, you got to keep up there.
Yes.
But who is you probably hit that spot on. That part I'm not too hot on. So
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I could beat you with the other 3, but man, you got me with Cubs. That's for sure.
You got that right.
I'm gonna pull up my
Oops. Want to move on?
handy
to the next
dandy Safari. No. I'll make my argument.
one? Okay.
You know what? There were not a lot of good Cubs catchers. That's for
There
sure.
is not.
I think
There's
Giovanni
not bad.
Soto definitely you could have up there.
Yeah, he's up there too.
He's definitely. But who'd you say? Gabby Hartnett? Is that for your guy?
I said Gabby Hartnett or Jody Davis.
Yeah, I'll take your word on that. I think first base.
I win.
I think we know first base.
Ooh,
Rizzo.
I was gonna say Frank Chance too. You could throw Frank Chance and Anthony Rizzo. Okay, wait a second. I'm curious
Anthony
now.
Rizzo all day.
I'm curious now. Now, while we're on you can go ahead and give your second base one. I want to look something up real quick.
Okay. Second base. Banks was a shortstop, so obviously he's the greatest shortstop. Santa was third baseman. Obviously, he's the greatest third baseman for the Cubs. Maybe Chris Bryant you could throw in there.
Yeah.
As in a third base conversation, but just in terms of Hall of Fame status, you got to go Santo and Banks on the left side of the field. Second baseman. Well, first of all, in terms of skill, Baez is great, but if we look
Ryan
at just
Sandberg.
over, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is Ryan Sandberg, all-time great, the Rhino. Never got to win a ring. One of those great Cubs that just never got to put it together, but still fantastic Hall of Fame player all day. I think also you can have Darwin Barney up there. He played decent. He wasn't great, but when you have a long tenure, you also have that in your conversation as well.
Yeah.
So, I say Rhino for sure.
Definitely.
And outfield. I say outfield for sure. You have Alfonso Soriano at least in left field. Longtime Cub from 07 to about 13, and he was a terror out there. Not only great defensively, but he could hit a lot of home runs for sure.
Billy Williams.
Andre Dawson.
Yeah.
I'm
curious what you got for center field.
Center field? You could have Dawson play center field a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I think
my pick is Hack Wilson.
Okay. I think when we're talking outfield, there's so many guys you could use. If we have to pick 5, I say, we stick with your guy Hack. Obviously, Billy Williams, Alfonso Soriano, Andre Dawson, maybe or just arm and the glove. I don't think any Cubs outfielders ever had that many defensive awards as he did, for sure. So I think that's a good, thing. You got a good thing going there.
I got
Now,
someone to throw into the third base conversation too.
go for it.
Aramis Ramirez.
Ooh. He's in that area. He's in that era of Cubs baseball that was really bad. Man, he was there with Derek Lee, Darwin Barney, Castro, Wellington Castillo,
That
Soriano,
07, 08 team. Those were
Milton
good.
Bradley.
Those were good teams, though.
Bro,
Milton Bradley. Oh my God! Don't even get me started on
that dude was insane.
Don't even get me started on
And
that.
then
Man.
Kosuke Fukudome.
Kosuke.
I used to.
Yeah,
Len Casper always said Kosuke. I think he did.
Yeah, that's his name. Kosuke.
It's Kosuke.
I still say Kosuke.
It's Kosuke, man.
I still call him Kosuke.
I know, you're cool with that. But, yeah, I mean, Aramis Ramirez for sure. I think there's a lot of arguments you can make. We named, for pitching, we said starting five. We said our two for catchers. First base, obviously, you said Frank Chance, Anthony Rizzo. It's a great backup thing going there. Second base, you could say Rhino, Barney, Baez. Shortstop, you could say Castro, Banks. Even if you're talking about Baez at shortstop, he was still great over there.
Too.
There's a lot of guys you can throw in that conversation. We talked about third base. We said our outfields. In the end, it's not like basketball or football where you can really, hammer it down. There's a lot of guys that play the game of baseball and a lot to choose from that have helped make the Cubs who they are, for sure. Now if we're talking a bullpen, obviously, let's knock out the recents first. Gotta have Chapman in there. You just have to.
You're gonna put Chapman in there, really?
As a backup to the backup of the backup of closers.
Okay.
Definitely Kerrywood bullpen. I think a nice Carlos Marmol for sure.
Yes.
Where he would,
I've got Lee Smith and Bruce Sutter.
Okay.
And Pedro Strop.
Did you write this all down before?
Nope.
Really? You're just kind of nice. Yeah. No, I totally agree. Pedro Strop, though.
He was one of the most consistent guys out of the bullpen until he got hurt that first time in the 2016 playoffs. He kind of bounced and then 2018.
When he
most
was running
reliable
the
guy.
first,
The most reliable guy out of that bullpen.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly. In 2018.
Yes.
2019, no. But
Yeah,
pre-2019, yes.
I think that's the problem. I have last year in the back of my head, and I'm kind of scarred. Definitely Craig Kimbrell is not on the bullpen list. But as far as closers go, I think Carlos Marmol, that dude could fire a ball.
It's Carlos Marmol and Lee Smith.
Yeah, I'll
for that
take
closer role.
Yeah.
And then I almost want to put Travis Wood in there too. With what? No, Carl Edwards. No. Ryan, no. He only.
Who said that? I can't see comments.
He only had one good year, and that was 2016. And you
Until
knew it.
Fluked at the end.
Yes, and you could tell it in that in Game 7 that he was starting to go down, and it showed the rest of his tenure.
He had a nervous breakdown on the World Series.
September 2015 and all of 2016, he was good. The rest of the time, no.
And then the last out on my birthday absolutely just went down. I remember the Cubs. Well, the bullpen started going down after 16. It's a long list of stuff that just absolutely was not good. Consistently giving up games in the ninth where you're up by 4. Again, Joe Madden's inability to bring in good bullpen guys. But for sure, I agree with your Lee Smith, Carlos Marmol's closer. I think you have to have Chapman in there just for consideration because the dude was firing 105 down the middle.
All right. Okay.
And no one's really done that.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there. I've also got Rob Beck in there too.
Okay. Fair enough, man. That's good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Each of our next shows, we should do an all-time lineup for every team of Chicago. Of Chicago.
All right. Yeah,
so
we
folks,
could throw that in there.
Well, I think we could do a Bulls one in a matter of. I'll just do it right now. Derrick Rose at point guard, Michael Jordan at shooting guard, Scottie Pippen at small forward, Dennis Rodman at power forward, And then I think you can have a toss-up between Bob Love and Joakim Noah for center. Okay, we did it. Horace Grant, maybe. Horace Grant you could have up there.
Nice.
Nah, we'll go more in depth with that next time, but I think we all know at least 4 of the spots in a Bulls all-time lineup center. That brings up questions for sure. So, I mean, we had a pretty short show today. We just wanted to get the points across. Probably not as many viewers, but that's okay. You can catch us next Thursday. It's probably because we didn't have a topic that made me rant for about 10 minutes straight like the Blackhawks.
Yeah, we'll have our next show Thursday, and then we got our rebroadcast Wednesday and Friday. Next week, though, we don't have any rebroadcasts except for Friday because we're technically not in school the first 3 days of the week. And then the second, I'm going to outline a little bit of that. Second to last week, we're highlighting all the students like that you don't normally see on the field. And then the last week, something new we're doing every day from Monday to Thursday. We're highlighting one of the biggest wins over one of the ND's biggest rivals from this last year. So we got a lot on that.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
That is a wrap on episode 7. I think it's 7/8 if you want to put it in that regard.
Yeah, because number 2 kind of tweaked on us.
Yes.
That was
the unofficial number 2.
Yeah. Wait, so you can see my face right now and everything?
I can see it, yeah.
I can't see me. Okay.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But okay.
Hope it doesn't screw everything up.
I hope it doesn't either.
Because that's a lot of work for you, man.
This one shouldn't be as bad. Though draft day 1 was bad.
Oh, I have PTSD from that.
No, it actually, once I got it out of my computer and messed around with it, it actually went pretty smoothly. Like uploading it onto YouTube took like 6 minutes. That was quick.
Mm-hmm.
But downloading it took about 2 days. Like I downloaded it Saturday. It didn't even come up on my iCloud files until late Saturday night. And that's when I downloaded it onto my computer finally.
Oh, jeez.
And then was able to curate it on Sunday and then got it up on like late Sunday. And then last night I finished up draft day 2 and then finished up all the final week stuff.
Nice.
So that's going to do it for episode 7. Stay safe, everybody.
Good show, man.
Listen to doctors. Only listen to people that listen to doctors.
And listen to us because right now we are probably the only people that know what we're talking about with sports.
But yes, that is accurate.
Yes. That should be like our closing line every time.
That we have been saying that for the last couple episodes.
You do your thing, and I'm like, just listen to us. Awesome, man. See you.
All right. I'll see you, man.
Bye-bye. Oh, you tripping. I'm out of here anyway. Peace out.